we were all brainwashed. I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and some of it I'm not supposed to talk about, and some of it you're not going to like, and that's okay because I have to do that. You may not even know who I am, but I'm Roger Burnley, and I'm an empowerment life purpose coach. And I want to put all those words together so you understand why I'm talking about this. I tell my clients all the time that we come into the world to perform something that's going to cause us to evolve, and then the world as well. Every single person. And then I say, there's no difference. Every single person has this ability. And there's no person that's more important than who you are or who has more ability than you, except we may forget that at times. I forgot that a little bit, but I can't do that anymore because I looked outside and it looked as if the world was falling apart. And I remember being a kid that I was a person, I was going to save the world. I was going to change the world. That's what I was going to do. But then I'm watching it happen and I'm not doing anything about it. So I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to talk about it. And this came about, some of you might know that I channel information. So that's my spiritual side. And I channel information. And on Wednesday of last week, it was the full moon. And I did a session there. And it blew me away because it really explained everything that was going on in my life and in the world now. And it was kind of shocking, actually. They took me back to something, my guides took me back to a message I had received in 2012. And it said, your truth is always correct. Now, you know, we're living in a time where truth is like really subjective. You know, we all have different truths. We're supposed to. That's the idea. We were supposed to have different truths, and we were supposed to have enough strength, enough courage, enough gumption to talk about them and own them in a way where we know that we're going to give something back to the world that's going to have all of us evolve. But we're not doing that. And we haven't been doing that for a long time, for hundreds and hundreds of years, because we have been brainwashed, you see. Now, if this first came up, I want you to understand this because I'm calling us all out, me included, because that's why the world looks the way it does, because I haven't been doing what I said I came to the earth to do. We had an election here in the United States, last year, and for this full year, since then, we have a whole bunch of people who said that didn't happen. It didn't happen the way we saw it. We know what the results were, but there are many, many people who are trying to convince us that didn't happen. Why is that going on? It's gone on forever. See, because that's how you control the masses. That's how you control people. If you tell them something that isn't true and get them to believe it, you say it enough, you get them to believe it, and then you're under their control. And that's what was happening. And I'm seeing this and knowing this is going on. And I'm looking at those folks and I'm saying that's cognitive dissonance. When you can you've convinced yourself of something for so long that it's real. It's your reality. And so when someone presents the facts to you, that doesn't make any sense. You can't accept that. That's not real. I've already believed something else. Yeah, I did that. You see, because I can remember now, what happened to me? See, I know that when I was 15 years old and I went to see Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak, it was the most amazing thing ever for me. I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm aligned with. This is the person that is living the life that I want to live. I didn't do that, though. See, because then my parents said, I wanted to go in March right after that. And they said, no, you can't do that because it's too dangerous. You have to, you can't be out there. You can't express yourself. You'll get killed. See, and then I was brainwashed again because I carried that on. And I thought, wait a minute now, I'm not 15. I'm no longer 15. So why am I still doing that? Because just like the other folks, I've been brainwashed. I've been brainwashed to think I'm not as important, that I couldn't make a difference by being willing to own who I am and express my truth in a way that is going to help people. And that's what I'm doing now. See, because we all come in to do something different. And this is what came through in that session that I did, the channeling session. And I would love for many of you to hear it, because I still listen to it, because it still blew me away. Even though it came through me, it was different. But what it said, it explained everything that was going on. We're all going to have different beliefs. We are. We come from, our souls are different. We come to the earth to work through or work out different things, each of us. And it's different in everybody's life. We're moving through restrictions and limitations of the past. We're attempting to let go of the past, but we're trying to hold on to it because we've been brainwashed. And then we're afraid of the future. And that's what's going on. See, because there are many people, and I'm just talking about in my country, in the United States, who are saying we're afraid that things might change, so we're going to change the laws so that won't happen. And then that became very personally affronting to me, because they're changing the laws so that black people like me won't vote. That's what it is. And we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to say that, but that's what's going on. And it's gone on for centuries. And then we used the pandemic to do the same thing, because we can convince people of anything. We've carried out this pandemic much longer than we did the last one, which was more than 100 years ago. Because this time we decided, let's make it even more political than we did the last time. So people won't understand science. They won't know that we've had pandemics since at least 429 BC, before Christ. You see, we've had them. And we then evolved. That's how we have the world that we do now. But every time we have one of those things, we go through it and we fight and we go crazy. And then we come out of it and we're a more evolved world. That's why the world looks the way it does now. But some people discovered that, wait a minute, if we could control people, maybe we could have all the power and then we would be okay. That never works. That's why we're falling apart. We can only build strength in unity. And we've always known that. But because we don't feel powerful ourselves, we're going to continue to be brainwashed and not own who we are. See, what I say to my clients all the time, now I've got to live this, is that you come into the world to fulfill a purpose. And it's an important one. And it's only yours. You know what it is, because you felt it your entire life. Now, you may keep denying it and pretending it isn't there, but it's still there. And that's what I did, see? Because I love my clients. They know that when I work with them, my entire goal is to get them to own who they are, stop denying their gifts and talents, and move into something that they can do that was going to have them evolve, which would, in essence, have the world evolve. And if more of us were to do that, we wouldn't have all the division that we're having right now. And we made the division this particular time with the pandemic. Now, and we all have different ideas about that. We didn't want to take the vaccine. Is the virus real? Yes, it was real. That's what it was. And I'm a person who's had to experience all of this, you see, because I came into the world with something that was not quite right. When I was born, there was something wrong with my skin, and so they didn't want my mother even to breastfeed me because they couldn't figure it out, which tells me that I had some underlying conditions going on. And throughout my life, I experienced more of them, tons of them. So my life was different than those people who were saying, no, vaccines don't work. We shouldn't do those. And all of the lies that are out there were to control and to maintain power. And then we're not seeing that, and then we're not talking about it. You see, that's why it goes on. And I was doing that, even though I thought, wait a minute, I came to change the world. Why am I sitting down now not saying anything? Fear. See, I told you I wasn't supposed to be doing this because everyone told me that if I were to talk about these things, that it would affect my business, that my clients would go away. First of all, I know my clients now wouldn't do that because they know who I am. And I can't make that choice because, see, I've criticized our politicians because I can see them doing things just to maintain power. They're not telling the truth because they just want to maintain power. Or they think because that power is about their money. If we can control the money, then we have power. So if I don't say anything, maybe I'll be okay and people will still give me money, and that's not who I am. I came to live a life, and I have to do this now. See, I'm getting older. In 10 days or so, I'm turning 71. So I don't have that fear of everything going away. It's not going to. I just have to step into what I'm supposed to do, as everyone is meant to do. And if we were to do that, we would start to really see this division go away. Now, let's talk about the pandemic, because that's the main thing. And in this country, it got so bad. You don't even look at what we did. First of all, when the pandemic showed up, we were all freaked out. Oh my word, what's going to happen? And there's no cure. And what are we going to do? And we had to do all the lockdowns. We had to do all of that. And we wanted something to take care of it. We wanted a medication. We were trying to find all of them. And then we got a vaccine, which has never happened in our history, that we got something that quickly. And that's why people freaked out. They said something's wrong with it. See, we made that political too. Something's wrong with it because it came too fast. They never took the time to study, to see how long this has been in development, how long it's been that this particular thing was coming about. You see, never understood that. Then I saw this other thing. I live in California, and I'm just going to say this because I just want people to think for a moment, because parents were just out on the street yelling and protesting because they don't want their kids vaccinated. Why? You don't want them to live. You think this isn't real. You're not looking at all the people who have died, all the kids who are dying more and more. And you're not seeing that. I mean, it's getting better because more people are getting vaccinated, but you're not paying attention to that. But then the best one was, yes, I vaccinated all of my kids. They've had all the others, but I'm not going to give them this one. Why? Did you study? Did you look at the statistics? Why would you give your kids the other vaccines? It makes no sense, except you've been brainwashed, see? Just like I was. We've all been brainwashed. I was brainwashed to not talk about this. I've gone through 5 years of looking at everything going on in our world and experiencing it intuitively, knowing what was coming and what would happen, and I didn't do anything. I tried. I mean, I did my thing, but I didn't do enough. And more of us have not done enough. I want everyone to believe their beliefs. I want them to own those and to know, and then to ask the next question, is your belief going to lead to the world getting better, or are you creating more division? Because we have a very clear way of seeing that. We know it. We can see it now just in our leaders in every country. But in this country in particular, we can look at our former president who cared just about himself. That's the old way. It wasn't just him. He's representing the old paradigm. You see, that's what went on. That's the way things operated. In every civilization, we changed that a little bit. So then in the U.S., we decided, let's put in a whole different guy. A guy who really has empathy, who cares about people, who really wants he sees the benefit of everyone coming together. But no, we're not going to like that. See, because there's something wrong with that as well. Why? When we can all come together and create something, a world where we can all prosper, where we could all actually be equal. In the United States, we said we were creating that kind of world, and we haven't gotten there yet. Because what we're doing now is going backwards in certain areas. It seems that way. But I also know that we're not doing that. And because more people will start to do what I'm doing, more people will start owning who they are and speaking truth. You see, everyone's truth is correct. But if your truth is something that's meant to divide and create hate, there will be no question of what we will see in the world. And we have to become aware of this. More people, you know this. We have felt this, and we look at things and we pretend they aren't happening. That's how you lose democracies. I was listening to Timothy Snyder, and if you haven't read his book on tyranny, it would be a good idea, because Timothy years ago knew what was happening. He saw what was happening around the world. He's a brilliant professor, and just before I decided to do this, he said, stand out. That was he's doing these videos now talking about his book because he's seeing what's going on in our world and in this country in particular. So he's got to talk about it. And so when he said stand out, he says it takes bravery and he gave all the examples of our people from history, leaders from history who did this, who decided, I don't care about all the other consequences. I'm going to help, you see. Instead of creating more division, I'm going to decide that no matter what happens for me, I'm going to make a difference because I know what it's going to mean to the rest of the world. He used Rosa Parks as one of the examples. Now get that, you see, because she said, no, something needs to be different. So she was going to sit on the bus. She deserved a seat. You do too. But you might have been brainwashed, like I was. Our world is not going to get any better unless we find a way to own our truths, give them to the world if we think they're going to be helpful, but ask ourselves the question, what's our intention? Why are we trying to do that? It got me, because I posted something about my anger because I had so much of it. It's really because I heard this person yelling about their freedom to not take the vaccine. So your freedom should kill me. Because that's what it could have done for me, because I have all these other conditions. That, it would have been a problem if I would have been around this person. We come into the world, into society, to agree to cooperate together so we can all live prosperous lives. It's not about just one person. We could not have a world like that. It just wouldn't happen, except some people are trying to do that. And it's been a whole group. And we're changing all of that. And the other part I'm talking about, this is not about religion, because religion is already, that's different. you have your rules in religion, and that's the old dogma as well. We're not supposed to be doing that. But I'm also talking about the light workers, the spiritual people. You're supposed to be doing stuff, but you're afraid to talk about what's happening out there. You're afraid to talk about the political things because you might get attacked. I was that person. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm way too old. And our world is in jeopardy unless we decide to create a new energy, unless we decide to put in more love than hate. That's really all that it is. And you each know that. But we're not talking about it. So I just had to do this to talk about it. I just had to get it off my chest, you see, because I know it's going to help. Some people will hear this and you will be awakened to something you've been putting off, that you've not been doing, that you've been afraid of being judged. And I work with empowerment. Empowerment means that we come to believe and understand and accept that we can be empowered if we accept who we are. And as my guide said all the time, authenticity. We're all trying to become authentic. And the way we do that is by letting go of our judgments of ourselves. And see, we've judged ourselves, and that's what prevents us from moving forward. I judged myself. I said I couldn't go and talk about this. I couldn't put that out in the world. People are going to hate me. Well, that's too bad. Because we have to live together. And if we're going to worry about what someone else is going to think and how we're going to be perceived and not live our truth, because our truth is always correct, our individual truths are always correct, because we put those together as humans, and then we cause the world to evolve. But we can't do it when we're fighting. Think about that.